The stars were bleeding. That's what it looked like from the observation deck of Outpost 47, a rusting heap of metal clinging to the edge of a dead asteroid in the Orion Spur. I was nobody special, just Eli, a 28-year-old technician with grease-stained hands and a knack for keeping the station's life support from coughing its last breath. 10 years ago, this place was my whole world, a lonely speck in the void where dreams went to die. That's when I found her. It was late, past the third shift, when the proximity alarms screamed. I was in the maintenance bay, wrestling with a busted oxygen scrubber, when the whole station shook like it had been punched. I stumbled to the console, expecting pirates or a meteor strike, but the sensors showed something else. A pod, small and sleek, drifting toward us like a wounded animal. No human ship looked like that, too smooth, too alive, its hull pulsing with faint, silvery light. Protocol said to report it, let the higher-ups deal with it. But something, call it instinct, call it stupidity, told me to act. I suited up, tethered myself to the station, and hauled the pod in through the airlock. It was a mess inside. Cracked panels, sparking wires, and a single occupant. A girl. Her skin was blue, not like the sky but like the deep ocean under moonlight, shimmering faintly. Her hair was white as starlight, spilling over her shoulders, and her ears, pointed, fox-like, twitched faintly. She wore a tattered outfit of shimmering fur, like something a warrior princess might don in a fairy tale. But she wasn't moving. Blood, or something like it, pooled around her, glowing faintly. Her eyes were closed, but even unconscious, she looked otherworldly. "Eli, you idiot," I muttered to myself, dragging her to the med bay. The station was half abandoned, so no one noticed me sneaking her in. I wasn't a doctor, but I knew enough to stabilize her. The med scanner didn't recognize her biology, her heart beat in strange, syncopated rhythms, but I patched her wounds with gel and bandages, hoping it'd be enough. When her eyes fluttered open, I froze. They were gold, glowing like twin suns, and they locked onto me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. "Who are you?" Her voice was soft, melodic, with an accent I couldn't place. It wasn't just sound, it felt like it vibrated in my bones. "Eli," I said, my throat dry. "You're safe, what's your name?" "Lyra," she whispered, then winced, clutching her side. "Of Zerathia, I cannot stay." Zerathia? Never heard of it. I glanced at the scanner, which was still spitting out gibberish. "You're hurt. You're not going anywhere until you're patched up." Her eyes widened like she wasn't used to kindness. "You risk much, human. My people, they are hunted." "Hunted by who?" I asked, but she shook her head, lips trembling. I didn't push. Instead, I brought her water, a protein bar, and a thermal blanket. She ate like she hadn't seen food in days, her delicate hands moving with a grace that didn't match her ragged state. I caught her staring at me, not with suspicion, but with something like awe. "You're strange," she said suddenly, her voice stronger now. "You're kind, you are not like the stories." "What's that supposed to mean?" I grinned, trying to lighten the mood. "We're not all bad." She didn't smile, but her gaze softened. "In Zerathia, humans are called reckless, brave but reckless." I laughed. Sounds about right. For 3 days, I hid her in a storage bay, sneaking her food and medical supplies. She told me bits and pieces. Her people were at war, her family betrayed, her escape pod stolen from a burning ship. She wouldn't say more, but the way she spoke of Zerathia, like it was a paradise lost, made my chest ache. I gave her my bunk, sleeping on the floor, and every night I'd catch her watching me, her golden eyes glowing in the dark. It wasn't just gratitude. There was something else, something that made my pulse race. On the 4th day, she was gone. No note, no trace, just a small, shimmering pendant shaped like a teardrop left on my pillow. It hummed faintly when I touched it, warm against my skin. I wore it around my neck, telling myself it was just a keepsake. But deep down, I knew it was more. 10 years passed. Outpost 47 got quieter, the galaxy got louder, wars, empires, rumors of alien fleets tearing through systems. I stayed out of it, fixing machines, keeping my head down. The pendant never left my neck, a reminder of the strangest days of my life. I figured Lyra was dead or lost to the stars, until last night. The station's sensors lit up again, but this time it wasn't a pod. It was a fleet. Obsidian ships, sleek and massive, surrounded us like a pack of wolves. The crew panicked, but I just stared at the main screen as a transmission came through. A face appeared, blue skin, white hair, fox-like ears, and those golden eyes. Lyra, but not the fragile girl I'd saved. She wore a crown of crystal spires, her fur-clad shoulders draped in a cape that shimmered like a nebula. Her voice filled the room, calm but commanding. "Eli of Earth," she said, her gaze piercing through the screen. "You sheltered me once. Now I require your presence." The crew turned to me, jaws dropped. I didn't move, couldn't breathe. The pendant burned against my chest. "Lyra," I said, my voice barely a whisper. Her lips curved slightly, the first hint of the girl I'd known. "Queen Lyra of Zerathia. Come to me, Eli. The galaxy has changed, and so have I." Before I could respond, a beam of light swallowed me whole. I woke in a chamber that felt like a dream. The walls were translucent, showing a swirling cosmos outside, stars, nebulae, a planet of violet oceans below. Lyra stood before a throne of black crystal, her presence filling the room like gravity. She was taller now, her body lithe but powerful, her furred outfit revealing curves that made my mouth dry. Her eyes locked onto me, and for a moment I was back in that storage bay, her gaze pulling me in. "You saved my life," she said, stepping closer. Her voice was velvet, but there was steel beneath it. "A debt I have not forgotten." "Lyra, what's going on?" I asked, my heart pounding. "Why am I here?" She tilted her head, her white hair catching the starlight. "Zerathia has risen. I have conquered our enemies, united the stars. But a new threat looms, one that endangers your Earth." "Earth?" I frowned. "What's Earth got to do with this?" "Everything," she said, her fingers brushing the pendant on my chest. The touch sent a jolt through me, her warmth lingering. "You hold the key, Eli. The key to a weapon that can save or destroy us all." I swallowed hard, her words sinking in. "What kind of weapon?" Her eyes darkened, a storm behind the gold. "One that could end the galaxy or remake it." The room seemed to close in around us. I wasn't just a mechanic anymore. I was in the middle of something bigger than myself, bigger than Earth. And Lyra, Queen Lyra, was no longer the refugee I'd saved. She was a conqueror, and she was pulling me into her war. The air in Lyra's throne room was warm, heavy with the scent of something floral and alien, like jasmine mixed with the electric tang of a distant storm. My head spun, not just from the teleportation that had yanked me from Outpost 47, but from her, Queen Lyra of Zerathia, standing so close I could feel the heat radiating from her blue skin. Her golden eyes held mine, unblinking, and the pendant around my neck pulsed like a second heartbeat. I was still just Eli, a grease-stained mechanic, but the way she looked at me made me feel like I was something more, like I was the only man in the galaxy who mattered. "Eli," she said, her voice a low hum that seemed to vibrate through the crystal floor. "You have questions. I see them in your eyes." I swallowed, trying to focus past the way her fur-clad outfit hugged her form, the shimmering pelts barely covering the curves of her shoulders and hips. "Yeah," I managed, my voice rougher than I intended. "Like, why me, why now, and what's this weapon you're talking about?" She stepped closer, her movements fluid, predatory, like a panther circling its prey. The crown of crystal spires atop her white hair caught the light, casting prisms across the walls. "The weapon is called the Etherian," she said, her fingers brushing the pendant again, lingering just long enough to make my skin tingle. "It is ancient, forged by my ancestors when Zerathia was young. Only a human can wield it. Only you." "Me?" I took a step back, my boots echoing in the vast chamber. "Lyra, I'm nobody. I fix air filters for a living. I'm not some chosen one." Her lips curved, not quite a smile, but something softer, more dangerous. "You were chosen the moment you pulled me from that pod, Eli. When you hid me, fed me, gave me your warmth." Her voice dropped, almost a whisper, and I swear the air between us crackled. "You saw me when I was nothing. That is why it must be you." I wanted to argue, to tell her she had the wrong guy, but her gaze pinned me in place. Those golden eyes weren't just beautiful, they were relentless, pulling me into a current I couldn't fight. I remembered those 3 days 10 years ago, the way she'd watched me in the dim light of the storage bay, her breath hitching when I'd bandaged her wounds. There'd been something between us then, unspoken but alive, and it was here now, stronger, sharper, like a blade pressed against my chest. "Lyra," I said, my voice steadier now, "if this Etherian can save Earth, I'm listening. But I need the truth. What's coming? And why does it feel like you're not telling me everything?" She turned away, her white hair swaying like a cascade of moonlight, and walked toward the translucent wall. Beyond it, the violet planet spun slowly, its oceans glinting under twin suns. "The threat is the Vordak," she said, her tone hardening. "A hive-mind empire, consuming systems like locusts. They've set their sights on Earth, and Zerathia stands in their path. I followed her, stopping just behind her. The pendant hummed louder, warm against my skin. And this weapon, it can stop them. It can, she said, turning to face me. Her eyes flicked down to my lips, then back up, and my heart skipped a beat. But it demands a price. The Etherian binds itself to its wielder's soul. It will amplify your strength, your will, but it will also change you. Change me how? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She was so close now, I could see the faint shimmer of her skin like it was dusted with starlight. Her scent enveloped me, intoxicating, pulling me closer despite myself. It will make you more than human, she said, her hand lifting to my cheek. Her touch was cool, electric, sending a shiver down my spine. You will see the universe as I do, feel its pulse, its pain. But it may take you from your kind, Eli, from your home. Her fingers lingered, tracing the line of my jaw, and I couldn't think straight. The room, the stars, the threat of the Vordak, it all faded, leaving just her. I wanted to pull away, to demand more answers, but my body betrayed me, leaning into her touch. Lyra, I said, my voice hoarse, what are we doing here? Her lips parted, and for a moment I thought she might kiss me. Instead, she stepped back, her expression shifting to something unreadable. We are preparing for war, she said, but her voice trembled, betraying a crack in her royal facade. Come, I will show you. She led me through a corridor of living crystal, the walls pulsing with soft light, like the ship itself was alive. Guards in sleek, fur-lined armor stood at attention, their fox-like ears twitching as we passed. They didn't look at me, but I felt their eyes, their curiosity. A human in the heart of Zerathia's flagship? It was unheard of. Lyra's hand brushed mine as we walked, a fleeting touch that sent heat racing through me. I tried to focus on her words, on the war she described, but my mind kept drifting to the way her hips swayed, the way her voice seemed to wrap around me like a spell. We stopped at a vast chamber, its ceiling a dome of starlight. At its center was a pedestal, and on it, a sphere of liquid metal swirling with colors I couldn't name. The Etherian. It pulsed in time with the pendant, and I felt a pull, like it was calling me. Lyra stood beside it, her expression torn between reverence and fear. This is our salvation, she said, her voice low, and our curse. To activate it, you must bond with it, Eli. Your mind, your essence, will merge with its core. I stared at the sphere, its surface shifting like a storm trapped in glass. And if I do this, what happens to me, to us? Her eyes met mine, and for the first time, I saw vulnerability in her. I do not know, she admitted, stepping closer. Her hand rested on my chest, over the pendant, and I felt her tremble. But I will be with you, Eli, as you were with me all those years ago. The air between us was charged, electric. I wanted to ask more, to demand clarity, but her closeness was overwhelming. Her lips were inches from mine, her breath warm against my skin. I could feel the weight of the galaxy pressing down on us, the Vordak, the Etherian, the war, but in that moment, all I saw was her. My hand moved to her waist, tentative testing. She didn't pull away. Instead, her eyes darkened, a hunger in them that mirrored my own. Lyra, I whispered, my voice thick with everything I couldn't say. This is crazy, you're a queen. You are Eli, she interrupted, her voice fierce, her fingers tightening on my chest. The man who saved me when I had nothing. The man I dreamed of every night as I clawed my way to this throne. Her words hit me like a shockwave. Before I could respond, an alarm blared, sharp and jarring. The chamber's lights flashed red, and Lyra's expression hardened. She pulled away, but her hand lingered on mine for a heartbeat longer. The Vordak, she said, her voice steel now. They've found us. The floor shook, and I heard distant explosions. The war had come for us, and I was standing at the edge of a choice that could save Earth or destroy me. Lyra's eyes locked onto mine, fierce, desperate, and something else, something that made my blood burn. Stay with me, she said, not a command but a plea. We face this together. I nodded, my heart racing, the Etherian's hum echoing in my bones. Whatever came next, I wasn't just a mechanic anymore. I was hers. The deck of Lyra's flagship shuddered beneath my feet, the red alarms casting jagged shadows across her face. Her hand was still in mine, her grip tight, her golden eyes blazing with a fire that made my heart pound, not just from the chaos erupting around us, but from the way she looked at me, like I was her anchor in a storm. The Vordak were here, their hive-mind ships tearing through the void toward Zerathia's fleet, and I was caught in the middle of a war I barely understood. The pendant around my neck burned hotter, its hum syncing with the Etherian's pulse in the chamber behind us. Whatever I'd stumbled into, there was no turning back. Eli, move. Lyra's voice cut through the blaring alarms, sharp but laced with something raw fear, not for herself but for me. She pulled me toward a command bridge, her white hair streaming behind her like a comet's tail. The corridor vibrated with the distant thrum of cannons, and through the translucent walls, I caught glimpses of Zerathia's ships, sleek obsidian spears firing arcs of plasma into a swarm of grotesque, biomechanical Vordak vessels. They looked like nightmares forged from metal and flesh, their hulls writhing as if alive. We burst onto the bridge, a hive of activity. Zerathian officers, their fox-like ears twitching, barked orders in a melodic language that made my head spin. Screens flickered with tactical displays, showing the Vordak fleet closing in like a noose. Lyra strode to the center, her presence commanding silence. She was every inch a queen, her fur-clad shoulders squared, her crown glinting under the crimson light. But when she glanced at me, there was a flicker of the girl I'd saved 10 years ago, vulnerable, desperate, needing me as much as I needed her. "Status!" she snapped, her voice carrying over the chaos. A tall Zerathian, his blue skin marked with silver tattoos, saluted. "The Vordak have breached our outer defenses, my queen. Their hive mind is adapting faster than our countermeasures. We have minutes before they board." Lyra's jaw tightened, and she turned to me, her eyes locking onto mine. "Eli, the Etherian is our only hope. You must activate it now." "Now?" My voice cracked, the weight of her words slamming into me. "Lyra, I don't even know what it does. You said it'd change me. How? What am I walking into?" Her hand found my arm, her touch firm but warm, grounding me in the chaos. "There's no time to explain fully," she said, her voice low, urgent. "The Etherian will link your mind to its core. It will amplify your will, make you a weapon against the Vordak. But it will also bind us. You and I connected forever." My breath caught. Bind us? The words hung between us, heavy with meaning I couldn't fully grasp. Her golden eyes softened, and for a moment the war faded, leaving just the two of us. I remembered her in that storage bay, her trembling hands, her trust in me. Now she was asking for that trust again, but the stakes were higher. My soul, her war, Earth's survival. Before I could respond, the ship lurched violently, throwing me against her. Our bodies pressed together, her warmth searing through the thin fabric of my jumpsuit. Her breath hitched, and I felt her heart, or whatever passed for it, racing against my chest. "Eli," she whispered, her lips so close I could taste the floral tang of her breath. "I need you." The words ignited something in me, a reckless fire that drowned out my fear. I nodded, my voice steady despite the chaos. "Show me what to do." She led me back to the Etherian's chamber, the ship shaking with every step. The sphere glowed brighter now, its liquid metal surface churning like a storm. The pendant around my neck vibrated, pulling me toward it like a magnet. Lyra's hand stayed in mine, her fingers trembling slightly. "Place your hand on it," she said, her voice barely audible over the alarms. "Let it see you." I hesitated, my pulse pounding in my ears. The Vordak were closing in, I could feel it. A creeping dread that wasn't just fear but something alien, like their hive mind was brushing against my thoughts. Lyra's grip tightened, grounding me. "You are enough," she said, her voice fierce. "You always have been." I pressed my hand against the Etherian. The world exploded. Light flooded my vision, not blinding but alive, a cascade of colors and sensations that tore through me. I saw stars being born, planets crumbling, entire civilizations rising and falling in a heartbeat. My mind stretched, pulled taut across the cosmos, and I felt the Etherian's core. A pulsing, sentient force that wasn't just a machine but a living thing. It saw me, knew me, and it wanted more. Pain seared through my chest, the pendant burning like a brand, but Lyra's voice anchored me, soft and steady in the chaos. "Stay with me, Eli," she whispered, her hands on my shoulders, her body pressed against my back. I could feel her breath on my neck, her warmth keeping me from shattering. "You're doing it." Then came the shock. The Etherian didn't just connect to me, it connected to her. I saw Lyra's memories, her pain, her triumphs. I saw her as a child, fleeing a burning palace, her family slaughtered by traitors. I saw her rise, clawing her way to the throne, her heart hardened by betrayal, but softened by the memory of a human who'd given her shelter. And I saw her now, standing beside me, her love for me a secret she'd buried beneath her crown. But there was something else, something the Etherian showed me that she hadn't. The Vordak weren't just an empire. They were her creation. a failed experiment from Zerathia's past, a hive mind she'd helped unleash before she was queen. Guilt flooded her memories, a weight she carried alone. She hadn't just brought me here to save Earth, she'd brought me to fix her mistake. The connection snapped, and I staggered back, gasping. The Etherian dimmed, its hum quieter now, but I could feel it inside me, a presence that wasn't entirely mine. Lyra caught me, her arms strong, her eyes wide with panic. "Eli, are you all right?" "You made them," I said, my voice hoarse, accusing. "The Vordak, you didn't tell me." Her face crumpled, the queen replaced by the girl I'd known. "I was young," she said, her voice breaking. "I didn't know what I was doing. I've spent 10 years fighting to undo it. That's why I need you." Before I could respond, the chamber's doors exploded inward. Vordak drones poured in, their bodies a grotesque mix of metal and flesh, their eyes glowing red. Lyra shoved me behind her, drawing a blade of pure energy from her belt. "Stay back," she shouted, her voice a mix of fury and fear. But the Etherian's power surged in me, unbidden. My vision sharpened, my body moved faster than it should have. I grabbed a fallen guard's weapon, a sleek, humming rifle, and fired, each shot hitting with precision I didn't know I had. Lyra fought beside me, her blade slicing through drones like they were paper, her movements a deadly dance. We were in sync, our bodies moving as one, the Etherian linking us in ways I couldn't explain. The last drone fell, and the chamber fell silent, save for our ragged breaths. Lyra turned to me, her blade still glowing, her chest heaving. Blood, hers or the drone's, streaked her blue skin, and her eyes burned with a mix of pride and desperation. "You're more than I hoped," she said, stepping closer, her blade deactivating. "But this is only the beginning." I wanted to be angry, to demand answers about the Vordak, but her closeness overwhelmed me. She reached out, her fingers brushing my cheek, and the Etherian's hum flared again, binding us tighter. "Eli," she whispered, her voice trembling with something deeper than fear. "Forgive me." The ship shook again, harder this time, and a new alarm blared. The Vordak weren't done, and neither were we. The air in the Etherian chamber was thick with the acrid smell of scorched metal and Vordak ichor, the remnants of the drones Lyra and I had just cut down. My chest heaved, the alien rifle still warm in my hands, its hum echoing the pulse of the pendant around my neck. Lyra stood beside me, her energy blade deactivated, her blue skin streaked with glowing blood that wasn't entirely hers. Her golden eyes met mine, fierce and unguarded, carrying a weight of guilt and something deeper, something that made my heart stutter despite the chaos. The ship's alarms wailed, a relentless reminder that the Vordak were still out there, their hive-mind ships tearing through Zerathia's fleet. We survived one wave, but the war was far from over, and Lyra's revelation, that she'd helped create the Vordak, hung between us like a live wire. "Eli," she said, her voice soft but urgent, her hand hovering near my arm as if afraid to touch me again. "We need to move. The Vordak flagship is targeting us. If they breach the core, the Etherian is lost, and so are we." I wanted to confront her, to demand why she'd hidden the truth about the Vordak, but the ship lurched again, throwing us together. My hands caught her waist to steady her, and for a split second, our bodies pressed close, her warmth searing through me. Her white hair brushed my cheek, and I caught that floral electric scent that was so uniquely her. My brain screamed to focus, war, danger, galaxy-ending stakes, but my body had other ideas, and the Etherian's hum in my veins wasn't helping. It was like it was amplifying every feeling, every glance, turning her presence into a current I couldn't escape. Lyra," I said, my voice cracking like a teenager's. "Maybe we save the galaxy first, then deal with whatever this is." I gestured vaguely at the space between us, my face heating up. "Smooth, Eli, real smooth." Her lips twitched, the faintest hint of a smile breaking through her queenly mask. "You are still reckless," she said, her voice teasing, but her eyes darkened with something that made my pulse race. "Come, the bridge." She pulled away, leading me through the ship's trembling corridors, her fur-clad figure moving with a grace that made it hard to focus on the impending doom. The Etherian's power thrummed in me, sharpening my senses. I could hear the distant screams of tearing metal, feel the ship's vibrations like a heartbeat. It was exhilarating and terrifying, like I was becoming something more than human. But every time Lyra glanced back, her golden eyes catching mine, I felt anchored, tethered to her in a way I couldn't explain. We reached the command bridge, now a chaotic symphony of flashing screens and shouting Zerathians. The main view screen showed the battle outside. Zerathia's fleet, sleek and shimmering, was holding its own, but the Vordak ships were relentless, their biomechanical hulls splitting open to release swarms of drones like angry hornets. A massive Vordak flagship loomed in the distance, its surface a writhing mass of tentacles and glowing red eyes. It was the stuff of nightmares, and it was coming for us. "Report!" Lyra barked, striding to the center of the bridge. Her officers snapped to attention, but I caught their sidelong glances at me, a human, out of place, standing too close to their queen. I shifted uncomfortably, the rifle still in my hands, feeling like a kid who'd wandered into a war room. "The Vordak flagship has locked onto our core," a silver-tattooed officer said, his fox-like ears twitching. "They're preparing to board. Our shields are at 30%. Lyra's face hardened, but her hand brushed mine, a fleeting touch that sent a jolt through me. "Prepare the fleet for a counterstrike," she ordered, "and ready the Etherian's secondary systems. Eli will." "Wait, what?" I interrupted, my voice louder than intended. All eyes turned to me, and I felt my face burn. "Lyra, I just touched that thing 5 minutes ago. I'm not exactly a weapons expert here." Her gaze softened, but there was a spark of amusement in it. "You are more than you know, Eli. The Etherian chose you. It's in you now." She stepped closer, her voice dropping so only I could hear. "And I trust you." Her words hit harder than they should have, stirring something reckless in me. But before I could respond, the bridge shook violently, and the view screen flared with red light. A Vordak boarding pod had latched onto the ship, its grotesque tendrils burrowing into the hull like a parasite. Alarms screamed, and Lyra's officers scrambled, drawing weapons. "Eli, with me," Lyra shouted, grabbing my arm and pulling me toward a side passage. We ran, the ship tilting under our feet, and I couldn't help but notice how her hand fit perfectly in mine, even in the middle of chaos. "We need to protect the Etherian," she said, her breath ragged. "If they take it, everything we've fought for is lost." We reached a sealed vault, its doors etched with glowing runes. Lyra pressed her palm against a panel, and the doors hissed open, revealing the Etherian, still pulsing on its pedestal. But the vault wasn't empty. A Vordak commander stood inside, its body a towering mass of metal and flesh, its red eyes glowing like dying stars. It turned to us, its voice a grating hiss that echoed in my skull. "The human, the key." Lyra shoved me behind her, her energy blade flaring to life. "Stay back, Eli," she snapped, but the Etherian's power surged in me again, unbidden. My vision sharpened, and I moved without thinking, raising the rifle and firing. The shots hit true, staggering the commander, but it lunged, its tendrils lashing out like whips. What happened next was pure chaos, and okay, a little embarrassing. Lyra dove at the commander, her blade slicing through its tendrils, but one caught her ankle, yanking her off balance. I lunged to catch her, and we ended up in a tangled heap on the floor, her body pressed against mine, her face inches from my own. For a moment, the war stopped. Her golden eyes widened, her breath warm against my lips, and I swear the Etherian laughed in my head, its hum spiking like it was enjoying the show. "Really bad timing, huh?" I said, grinning despite myself, my hands still on her waist. Lyra's cheeks darkened, a faint purple flush under her blue skin, and she shoved me off, springing to her feet. "Focus, Eli," she said, but there was a laugh in her voice, a crack in her queenly armor that made my heart skip. The Vordak commander recovered, its tendrils surging toward us. I rolled to my feet, the Etherian's power guiding my movements, and fired again, this time aiming for its glowing core. Lyra moved with me, our attacks synchronized, her blade and my rifle carving through the creature until it collapsed, its hiss fading into silence. We stood there, panting, surrounded by the wreckage of the vault. Lyra's blade deactivated, and she turned to me, her expression a mix of awe and exasperation. "You are impossible," she said, stepping closer, her fingers brushing my arm. "Reckless, brave, and impossible." "Yeah, well," I said, wiping sweat from my brow, "you're not exactly predictable either, Your Majesty." I winked, and her laugh, soft, unguarded, felt like a victory bigger than the fight we just won. But the moment was cut short. The ship shook again, and a new voice crackled through the comms, a Zerathian officer, his tone frantic. "My queen, the Vordak flagship, is deploying a neural disruptor. It's targeting the Etherian and the human." Lyra's face paled, and she grabbed my hand, her grip desperate. "Eli, the disruptor will sever your connection to the Etherian. If it hits, you could lose yourself. Lose myself? I asked, my stomach twisting. What does that mean? Her eyes searched mine, and I saw fear. Not for Zerathia, not for the war, but for me. It means, she said, her voice breaking, I could lose you. The vault's walls pulsed red, the Etherian's hum growing erratic. The Vordak were coming, and the stakes were higher than ever. Lyra's hand tightened in mine, and I knew, whatever happened next, we were in this together, for better or worse. The vault's red lights pulsed like a heartbeat, each flash syncing with the Etherian's erratic hum and the tightening grip of Lyra's hand in mine. Her words echoed in my head, I could lose you, and they carried a weight that made my chest ache. The Vordak's neural disruptor was coming, a weapon that could sever my connection to the Etherian, maybe even my mind, and the fear in Lyra's golden eyes told me she wasn't exaggerating. The air was thick with the aftermath of our fight, scorched metal, the faint glow of Vordak ichor, and the electric floral scent of her that made it hard to think straight. We were running out of time, and yet, standing there with her, the galaxy's chaos felt distant, like it was just the two of us against the stars. Eli, Lyra said, her voice low, trembling with urgency. She stepped closer, her fur-clad body brushing against me, her warmth cutting through the cold dread of the vault. The disruptor is targeting you because of the Etherian. We need to strengthen your bond with it now. Strengthen it? I asked, my voice rough, still reeling from the way her touch sent heat racing through me. The pendant around my neck vibrated, its warmth spreading across my chest, and I felt the Etherian's presence in my mind, like a whisper urging me closer to her. How do we do that? Her eyes darkened, a mix of determination and something softer, more vulnerable. The Etherian is not just a weapon, she said, her fingers trailing up my arm, leaving a trail of fire on my skin. It binds souls, merges them. To protect you, we must deepen our connection. My breath hitched. Deepen? Lyra, you're gonna have to spell this out for me. I'm just a mechanic, not a mind reader. Her lips curved, a faint, almost shy smile that didn't match the queenly crown atop her white hair. It requires trust, she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. And intimacy, a sharing of ourselves beyond words. I froze, my heart pounding so loud I was sure she could hear it. The Etherian's hum spiked, amplifying the heat between us, and I realized what she was suggesting. Not just a partnership, not just a fight, but something deeper. Something that blurred the line between human and Zerathian, between a nobody like me and a cosmic queen. My mind raced, torn between the absurdity of it all and the undeniable pull I felt toward her. A pull that had started 10 years ago in a cramped storage bay and was now threatening to consume me. Lyra, I said, my voice barely steady, are you saying what I think you're saying? She stepped closer, closing the gap between us, her golden eyes searching mine. Her hand rested on my chest, over the pendant, and I felt its pulse sync with hers. I am saying, she murmured, her breath warm against my jaw, that to save you, to save us, we must become one. Not just in battle, but here. Her fingers pressed harder, and I swear my heart stopped. The vault shook again, a distant explosion reminding me of the Vordak closing in, but I couldn't look away from her. Her blue skin shimmered under the red light, her fox-like ears twitching slightly, and the fur of her outfit brushed against my arm, soft and teasing. I wanted to laugh, to make a joke about how this was the worst possible time for whatever this was, but the Etherian's hum drowned out my doubts, urging me closer. Okay, I said, my voice hoarse, my hands finding her waist. If this is what it takes, I'm in. But, I'm not exactly an expert in alien bonding rituals. Her laugh was soft, almost musical, and it cut through the tension like a blade. You are enough, Eli, she said, her fingers sliding up to my neck, her touch cool and electric. Just be you. She leaned in, and the world narrowed to the space between us. Her lips brushed mine, tentative at first, like she was testing the waters of a forbidden sea. Then the Etherian flared, and the kiss deepened, a surge of warmth and energy that felt like diving into a star. Her body pressed against mine, her curves fitting perfectly, and I felt the galaxy shift. Not just the ship, not just the war, but something fundamental, like the universe was rewriting itself around us. Her hair tangled in my fingers, soft as moonlight, and her scent enveloped me, pulling me deeper into her orbit. The Etherian's hum became a song, a chorus of light and sound that flowed through us both. I saw flashes of her memories, her fears, her dreams. A young Lyra, hiding in the ruins of Zerathia's capital, vowing to reclaim her throne. A warrior Lyra, leading her fleet against impossible odds. And a Lyra who'd never forgotten the human who'd saved her, whose kindness had kept her alive through the darkest years. I felt her guilt over the Vordak, her resolve to fix it, and something else, a longing for me that matched my own. My hands roamed her back, tracing the lines of her fur-clad outfit, and she shivered, her breath catching against my lips. The Etherian amplified every sensation, making her touch electric, her closeness overwhelming. It wasn't just physical, it was like our souls were entwining, the pendant and the Etherian weaving us together in a way that felt eternal. I pulled back just enough to look at her, her golden eyes half-lidded, her cheeks flushed with that faint purple glow. "Lyra," I whispered, my voice thick, "this is a lot." She smiled, a real smile, unguarded and warm. "It is," she said, her fingers brushing my cheek. "But it is us." Before I could say more, the vault's doors hissed open, and a Zerathian officer burst in, his silver tattoos glinting under the red light. "My queen!" He shouted, then froze, his eyes widening at the sight of us, me, a human, with my hands on Lyra's waist, her lips still swollen from our kiss. His fox-like ears flattened, and I could have sworn he blushed, though it was hard to tell on blue skin. Sorry to interrupt," I said, stepping back, my face burning. Lyra didn't move, her hand still on my chest, her expression a mix of amusement and defiance. "Speak, Terran," she said, her voice calm but laced with authority. "The Vordak disruptor is charging," Terran said, his eyes darting between us. "We have minutes before it fires. The Etherian systems are stabilizing, but the human must complete the bond." Lyra nodded, her grip on me tightening. "He will," she said, her eyes never leaving mine. "Prepare the fleet for a final stand. We end this now." Terran saluted and hurried out, leaving us alone again. The vault shook, the Etherian's hum growing louder, and I felt its power surging in me, stronger now, like a fire fed by our connection. Lyra's hand slid to mine, her fingers intertwining with my own. "The bond is almost complete," she said, her voice soft but fierce. "You are ready, Eli, but the Vordak will not stop. They sense you now." I looked at the Etherian, its liquid metal surface swirling with new intensity, and then back at her. The war was closing in, but so was something else, something between us that was bigger than the galaxy, bigger than the Vordak. "Whatever happens," I said, squeezing her hand, "we do this together." Her eyes softened, and she leaned in, her forehead resting against mine. "Together," she whispered, and the Etherian sang, sealing our fates as the Vordak's shadow loomed closer. The Etherian's song hummed through my veins, a cosmic melody that bound me to Lyra in ways I could barely comprehend. Her forehead rested against mine, her golden eyes half-closed, her breath mingling with my own in the pulsing red light of the vault. The warmth of her blue skin, the soft brush of her white hair, the electric floral scent that clung to her, it was overwhelming, like the universe had shrunk to the space between us. The Vordak's neural disruptor was moments away, its threat looming like a guillotine, but in that fleeting moment, with her hand in mine and the Etherian's power surging through us, I felt invincible. Together, we were unstoppable. Or so I thought. Lyra pulled back, her eyes blazing with resolve. "The bond is strong," she said, her voice steady despite the tremors shaking the ship. "You're ready, Eli. The Etherian will answer to you now. We can end this." I nodded, my heart racing, the pendant around my neck pulsing in time with the sphere behind us. The vault's walls vibrated, the distant roar of explosions growing louder, and I could feel the Vordak's hive mind pressing against my thoughts, a cold, alien presence that made my skin crawl. But Lyra's touch grounded me, her fingers still laced with mine, her strength flowing into me through the Etherian's link. "Let's do this," I said, my voice firmer than I felt. "Whatever it takes." She led me to the Etherian's pedestal, her movements swift but graceful, her fur-clad silhouette a beacon in the chaos. The sphere glowed brighter, its liquid metal surface swirling with colors that seemed to pulse with my heartbeat. "Place both hands on it," she instructed, her voice calm but urgent. "Focus on me, on us. The Etherian will amplify your will, but you must guide it." I stepped forward, my hands trembling as I reached for the sphere. The moment my fingers touched it, the world shifted again, just like before, but this time it was different. The Etherian didn't just show me visions, it pulled me into them. I saw galaxies spiraling, stars collapsing, and Zerathia's violet oceans shimmering under twin suns. I saw Lyra, not as a queen but as a warrior, her blade flashing in battles I hadn't witnessed, her heart breaking as she buried her past. And then I saw something else, something that stopped my breath. The Etherian showed me the truth. Not just Lyra's guilt over creating the Vordak, but the cost of stopping them. The weapon wasn't just a tool to destroy, it was a sacrifice. To unleash its full power, one of us would have to give up everything. Our life, our essence, our very existence. And Lyra had known this all along. She hadn't just brought me here to wield the Etherian, she'd brought me to die. I yanked my hands back, staggering, my vision swimming. "Lyra," I said, my voice raw, you knew the Etherian would kill me." Her face crumpled, her golden eyes wide with panic. "Eli, no," she said, stepping toward me, her hands outstretched. "It's not certain. The Etherian chooses, not me. I hoped. You hoped?" I cut her off, my anger flaring, the pendant burning against my chest. "You brought me here, made me bond with this thing, and didn't tell me it might erase me. After everything." Tears shimmered in her eyes, a sight so human it caught me off guard. "I didn't know if it would be you," she said, her voice breaking. "The Etherian could choose me instead. I was willing to take that risk. For Zerathia, for Earth, for you." Her words hit like a punch, and the Etherian's hum softened, as if mourning her confession. I wanted to stay angry, to storm out of this vault and this war, but the way she looked at me, raw, vulnerable, the queen stripped away, made it impossible. She wasn't just a conqueror. She was the girl I'd saved, the one who dreamed of me across a decade of war. And I was still hers, even now. Before I could respond, the vault's walls exploded inward, a wave of Vordak drones surging through the breach. Their red eyes glowed like embers, their biomechanical limbs clicking as they advanced. Lyra's blade flared to life, and she moved in front of me, her body a shield. "Stay with the Etherian?" she shouted, her voice fierce. "I'll hold them off." "No way," I said, grabbing the rifle I'd dropped earlier. The Etherian's power surged in me, sharpening my reflexes, and I fired, each shot hitting with unnatural precision. Lyra fought beside me, her blade a blur, slicing through drones with a grace that was both deadly and beautiful. We moved as one, the Etherian linking us, our movements synchronized like a dance we'd practiced for years. But the drones kept coming, wave after wave, and the ship's tremors grew worse. Through the breached wall, I saw the Vordak flagship looming closer, its tentacles writhing, its disruptor glowing with a sickly green light. Time was running out. I glanced at Lyra, her face streaked with sweat and ichor, her eyes burning with determination. She was fighting for me, for us, and I knew I couldn't let her face this alone. I turned back to the Etherian, my hands shaking as I reached for it again. "Eli, wait!" Lyra shouted, but I didn't listen. I pressed my palms against the sphere, and the world dissolved into light. This time, the visions were clearer, sharper. I saw the Vordak's hive mind, a vast, writhing network of thought and hunger. I saw Earth, fragile and blue, on the brink of annihilation. And I saw Lyra, standing alone on a ruined throne, mourning a sacrifice she couldn't prevent. But then came the twist, a vision the Etherian hadn't shown me before. It wasn't just me or Lyra who had to die. The weapon could be powered another way, a way neither of us had considered. The Vordak's hive mind wasn't just a threat, it was a key. If I could use the Etherian to infiltrate their network, to turn their own connection against them, we could destroy their flagship from within. But it would mean diving into their minds, risking my own sanity, my own humanity, in a gamble that might not work. I pulled back, gasping, the vault snapping back into focus. Lyra was at my side, her blade dripping with ichor, her chest heaving. "Eli, what did you see?" she asked, her voice desperate. I grabbed her hand, my heart pounding with the weight of the choice. "There's another way," I said, my voice steady despite the chaos. "I can use the Etherian to hack the Vordak's hive mind, turn their strength against them, but it's risky. It might break me." Her eyes widened and she shook her head, her grip tightening. "No, Eli, I won't let you. You don't get to decide this," I said, cutting her off. "You trusted me once, 10 years ago, trust me now." The vault shook, the disruptor's green light flooding through the breach. Lyra's face was a storm of emotions, fear, love, resolve. She pulled me close, her lips brushing mine in a kiss that was both a promise and a plea. "If you do this," she whispered, "you come back to me." The Etherian's hum roared in my ears, and I nodded, stepping toward the sphere. The Vordak were closing in, their drones relentless, their flagship's disruptor seconds from firing. I had one shot, one impossible chance to save us all. And as I reached for the Etherian, Lyra's hand stayed in mine, anchoring me to her, to us, as I prepared to dive into the heart of the enemy. The Etherian's hum was a roar in my ears, a cosmic tide pulling me toward the glowing sphere as Lyra's hand anchored me to reality. Her kiss lingered on my lips, a fleeting promise that burned brighter than the Vordak's green disruptor light flooding the vault. The breached walls trembled, the air thick with the screech of tearing metal and the relentless advance of Vordak drones. I'd just seen a way to end this, hacking their hive mind with the Etherian, turning their own strength against them. But the cost could be my sanity, maybe my life. Lyra's golden eyes locked onto mine, fierce and pleading, and I knew I couldn't back out now. Not for her, not for Earth, not for the reckless human who'd saved her 10 years ago and was now diving headfirst into the heart of an alien war. Eli, she said, her voice steady despite the chaos, her fingers tightening around mine. You don't have to do this alone. I managed a shaky grin, my heart pounding as the Etherian's power surged in my veins. Yeah, well, if I'm gonna lose my mind, might as well have you there to pick up the pieces, right? Her lips twitched, a flicker of amusement breaking through her worry. Reckless human, she murmured, but there was warmth in it, a softness that made my chest ache. She stepped closer, her fur-clad body brushing against me, and for a moment the war felt far away. Then the vault shook violently, and a Vordak drone's claw slashed through the breach, forcing us apart. Move, Lyra shouted, her energy blade flaring as she spun to face the new wave of drones. I grabbed the rifle, my movements sharper, faster, thanks to the Etherian's lingering power. We fought back to back, her blade slicing through biomechanical limbs while my shots found their glowing cores. The Etherian's hum guided me, linking us in a deadly dance, but the drones were endless, and the disruptor's green glow was growing brighter, closer. We're running out of time, I yelled, ducking as a tendril whipped past my head. I need to get to the Etherian now. Lyra nodded, her blade carving a path through the drones. Go, I'll cover you. I sprinted to the pedestal, the sphere pulsing with colors that seemed to scream with urgency. My hands hovered over it, the pendant around my neck burning hot, and I felt the Vordak's hive mind pressing harder against my thoughts. A cold, writhing mass of hunger and malice. I glanced back at Lyra, her white hair flying as she fought, her blue skin streaked with glowing ichor. She was a queen, a warrior, and somehow, impossibly, mine. I couldn't let her down. I pressed my hands against the Etherian, and the world dissolved into chaos. My mind plunged into the hive mind, a churning sea of alien thoughts that threatened to swallow me whole. I saw the Vordak's flagship, its core a pulsing mass of energy and will, controlling every drone, every ship. The Etherian gave me a foothold, a way to push back, but it was like wrestling a storm. My thoughts frayed, my sense of self slipping, but Lyra's presence burned bright in my mind, her voice echoing through the Etherian's link. Stay with me, Eli. I focused on her, on the memory of her kiss, her touch, and pushed deeper into the hive mind. I could feel their structure, their connections, like a web I could tear apart. But then, the disruptor fired. A wave of green energy slammed into the vault, and pain exploded in my skull. I screamed, my knees buckling, but Lyra was there, catching me before I hit the floor. Her arms wrapped around me, her body pressed against mine, and I realized we'd fallen into another awkward heap, just like before. Really, Lyra? I gasped, my head throbbing as I tried to laugh through the pain. Twice in one day, people are gonna talk. Her eyes widened, a flush of purple coloring her cheeks, but she didn't let go. Let them talk, she said, her voice fierce, her hands cupping my face. You're not leaving me, Eli, not now. The humor faded as the pain intensified, the disruptor's energy clawing at my mind. The Etherian's link was fraying, my connection to the hive mind weakening, but I could still feel it, the Vordak's core, vulnerable if I could just reach it. Lyra's hands steadied me, her golden eyes burning with determination. Use me, she said, her voice low, urgent. The Etherian binds us. Let me anchor you. I stared at her, my heart racing. Lyra, that could. Do it, she cut me off, her fingers digging into my shoulders. I trust you. I nodded, closing my eyes and diving back into the hive mind. This time, Lyra was with me, her presence a beacon in the chaos. The Etherian channeled her strength, her will, into me, and I pushed harder, tearing at the Vordak's connections. I felt their flagship falter, its drones stuttering, but the effort was shredding me. My thoughts blurred, memories slipping, my childhood on Earth, my years on Outpost 47, everything fading except Lyra. Then a new voice cut through the hive mind, cold and sharp like a blade in my skull. Human, it hissed, and I saw it, a figure within the Vordax core, not a drone but something sentient, something ancient. You cannot stop us. She made us, she belongs to us. The words hit like a shockwave, and I saw Lyra's face in my mind, her guilt, her fear. The Vordak weren't just her creation, they were linked to her, a twisted reflection of her past. They wanted her back, not just to destroy Zerathia but to claim her as their queen. The realization nearly broke me, but Lyra's voice surged through the Etherian, fierce and unyielding. Eli, don't listen. Fight. I gritted my teeth, pouring everything into the Etherian. My fear, my anger, my need to protect her. The hive mind buckled, cracks forming in its web, but the disruptor's energy surged again, and I felt my mind slipping, my body collapsing. Lyra caught me again, her arms strong, her breath ragged. Stay with me, she whispered, her lips brushing my ear, her warmth pulling me back from the edge. The vault was a war zone now, drones pouring through the breach, but Lyra didn't flinch. She fought with one arm around me, her blade flashing, her body shielding mine. You're not done, Eli, she said, her voice a mix of command and desperation. We're not done. I forced my eyes open, the Etherian's hum weaker but still there, and saw the Vordak flagship through the breached wall, its core flickering. I'd done damage, but not enough. The disruptor was charging again, and I knew we had one last chance. Lyra's hand found mine, her fingers intertwining, and I felt her strength, her heart, through the Etherian's bond. Okay, I said, my voice hoarse, a grin tugging at my lips despite the pain. Let's make these bugs regret messing with us. Her laugh, soft and fierce, was the last thing I heard as I reached for the Etherian again, ready to end this, or lose everything trying. The Etherian's hum was a fading whisper in my ears, drowned out by the chaos of the vault, screeching metal, the clatter of Vordak drones, and the desperate rhythm of my own heartbeat. Lyra's laugh, soft and fierce, echoed in my mind as I reached for the glowing sphere one last time. Her hand clasped in mine, her strength anchoring me against the Vordak's relentless assault. The disruptor's green glow flooded the breached walls, its energy clawing at my thoughts, threatening to tear me apart. But I could still feel her, Lyra, my queen, my partner, through the Etherian's bond, her presence a beacon in the storm of the hive mind. The Vordak flagship loomed outside, its core flickering, wounded but not broken. This was it, one final chance to end the war, to save Earth, to protect her. I wasn't just a mechanic anymore. I was Eli, and I was hers. I pressed my hands against the Etherian, and the world dissolved into light. The hive mind surged around me, a writhing sea of alien will, its cold voice hissing in my skull. She belongs to us. But Lyra's voice was louder, stronger, cutting through the chaos like a blade. You are enough, Eli, she said, her words a lifeline as I dove deeper into the Vordak's network. The Etherian amplified my will, my humanity, and I pushed back, tearing at the connections that held their fleet together. It was like unraveling a tapestry, each thread snapping under the weight of my resolve and hers. The vault shook, and I felt Lyra's body against mine, her arms steadying me as I wavered. Her warmth, her scent, her unyielding strength kept me grounded as the hive mind fought back, its thoughts clawing at my memories, my identity. I saw flashes of my life, Outpost 47, the endless hum of machines, the loneliness of the stars. But they faded against the vision of Lyra, 10 years ago, her golden eyes trusting me in a cramped storage bay. That trust fueled me now, driving me to find the Vordak's core, the pulsing heart of their flagship. I reached it, a seething mass of energy and malice, a twisted reflection of Lyra's past mistake. The Etherian gave me the power to strike, but the disruptor's energy surged again, a wave of pain that nearly shattered me. My knees buckled, but Lyra caught me, her breath ragged, her blade flashing as she fended off drones that poured through the breach. Eli, hold on, she shouted, her voice raw with desperation. Her fur-clad shoulder pressed against mine, her white hair brushing my cheek, and I felt her heart racing through the Etherian's bond. I've got this, I gasped, forcing a grin despite the pain. Can't let you have all the fun, Your Majesty. Her eyes flicked to mine, a spark of amusement breaking through her fear. Reckless human, she said, her voice soft but fierce, and she leaned in, her lips brushing my forehead in a fleeting, electric touch that sent a surge of strength through me. I turned back to the Etherian, pouring everything into it, my fear, my hope, my love for her. The hive mind buckled, its connections fraying as I targeted the flagship's core. I saw it in my mind's eye, a glowing nexus of power, and I struck, the Etherian's energy surging through me like a supernova. The core shattered, a psychic scream echoing through the hive mind as the Vordak's flagship began to collapse, its tentacles thrashing, its drones faltering across the battlefield. The vault's lights flickered, the disruptor's green glow fading as the Vordak's network unraveled. I staggered back, my vision swimming, the Etherian's hum quieting to a gentle pulse. Lyra caught me, her arms strong, her golden eyes wide with relief and something deeper, something that made my heart ache. "You did it," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You broke them." I tried to laugh, but it came out as a cough. "Yeah, well, teamwork makes the dream work, right?" She smiled, a real smile that lit up her face, and for a moment, the war was gone. The vault was silent, the drones lifeless, the flagship outside crumbling into debris against the violet glow of Zerathia's planet. Her officers rushed in, their fox-like ears twitching, their voices a mix of awe and urgency as they reported the Vordak fleet's retreat. But Lyra didn't move, her hands cupping my face, her thumbs brushing my cheeks. "You're still here," she said, her voice breaking, tears shimmering in her eyes. I thought I'd lose you." I reached up, covering her hands with mine, the pendant warm against my chest. "Takes more than a hive mind to get rid of me," I said, my voice soft. "Besides, I made a promise. Together, remember." She nodded, her lips trembling, and leaned in, kissing me with a tenderness that felt like coming home. The Etherian's bond hummed between us, not just a weapon now but a bridge, tying our souls across stars and species. Her kiss was slow, deep, filled with 10 years of longing and the weight of what we'd survived. I pulled her closer, my hands tangling in her white hair, her fur-clad body warm against mine, and for the first time I didn't feel like a nobody. I felt like hers. The moment was broken by a nervous cough from one of her officers, Terran, the silver-tattooed Zerathian, looking distinctly uncomfortable. "My queen," he said, his ears flattened, "the fleet awaits your orders. The Vordak are in full retreat, but we must secure the system." Lyra pulled back, her cheeks flushed with that faint purple glow, but she didn't let go of my hand. "Signal the fleet," she said, her voice steady, regal. "We return to Zerathia, and prepare quarters for Eli. He is our honored guest." Terran's eyes flicked to me, a mix of curiosity and respect, and I couldn't help but grin. "Guest, huh?" I said, raising an eyebrow. "Guess that's better than random human who crashed your war." Lyra laughed, the sound like music, and squeezed my hand. "You are far more than that," she said, her voice low, meant only for me. Days later, we stood on the balcony of Zerathia's capital, a city of crystal spires and violet seas that shimmered under twin suns. The war was over, the Vordak shattered, their hive mind broken by the Etherian and by us. Earth was safe, its people unaware of the mechanic who'd helped save them. But I didn't care about fame. I cared about the woman beside me, her crown set aside, her hand in mine as we watched the stars. "You could stay," Lyra said, her voice soft, almost hesitant. "Zerathia needs you, I need you." I looked at her, her golden eyes reflecting the cosmos, her blue skin glowing in the sunlight. The pendant around my neck was quiet now, its purpose fulfilled, but the bond between us was stronger than ever. "I'm not going anywhere," I said, pulling her close. "You're stuck with me, Lyra." She smiled, leaning into me, and we stood there, human and Zerathian, two unlikely souls who'd found each other across a decade and a galaxy. The stars stretched out before us, endless and uncharted, but for the first time, I wasn't afraid. With her by my side, I was ready for whatever came next. And somewhere, in the quiet hum of the Etherian, I swear I heard the universe sigh, content.